We will get started here. That's all right. We will call to order the finance meeting and we'll begin with the roll call, please.
Commissioner Neiderer.
Here.
Commissioner Cauchy. I'm here. Commissioner Eichelberger.
Present.
All right. We will open the meeting up for public comment. Desiree, is there anyone on?
No public comment online.
Anyone here to make public comment? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the April 24th meeting.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
And seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the topic of discussion. Brent Durham, it looks like you are up first.
Oh, lucky me.
Yeah. Come on down.
Yeah, so I'm here asking for your consideration to increase the capital project request from 400,000 to 465,000 for electric vehicle purchases and charging station infrastructure. Now, just to give you a little bit of back history for you, Kelly, in 2022, we had an engineering study done on our fleet of vehicles, looking for which vehicles would qualify or meet the needs if we moved to electric vehicles. They looked at the hybrid versions, plug-ins, and the battery electric vehicles as well. There was about 68 vehicles from that list that was potential. I narrowed it down to strictly the ones that would make the most sense for battery electric vehicles. That took the list to 12. I then moved it to 8, and that's what we're talking about here are those 8 vehicles. Now, these vehicles were vehicles that were slated to be replaced in 2023, 2024, and 2025. So this is not an addition to the fleet. This is just replacing gas vehicles to electric.
Okay. I did see your summary, Brent, so thank you. With the information, I got a little bit of background, but not that detailed. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, when I had originally come in last year in the summer and asked for the 400,000, I had also asked that it be contingent upon the AFA grant acceptance, alternative fuels incentive grant. And we had made application in December of 2022 for that grant, and we did not get the official award letters until late October and December of 2023. Well, in that time frame, during that delay, a lot of things changed with electric vehicles in that market. Some were negative and some were positive for us. The negative was that of the 8 vehicles that I proposed purchasing, 6 of them were exactly the same make and model. The manufacturer of that make and model discontinued in the middle of 2023 manufacturing that vehicle. So, and because of the delay in getting the approvals from AFA, by the time I got the approvals, we were well into the 2024 manufacturing of vehicles, and there were very few of these Chevy Bolts left. So I started to search for other vehicles. Also on top of that, as a negative, was the charging stations. The charging stations from the end of 2022 were about $4,500 a piece. I'm now getting quotes at $7,500 a piece. So the charging stations and the difference of vehicles that I need to get now is why I'm here today. On a positive note, though, while we were in this holding pattern is when we came across the EECBG grant, which is U.S. Department of Energy. It's an energy efficiency conservation block grant. Okay. We were eligible for $274,270 on that grant, and electric vehicles and charging stations was a part of it. They actually created a voucher system for equipment, so for vehicles and stuff. So it sort of helps to streamline the whole paper process, as we move forward. Hopefully less man hours, reporting and all that. Now, at that time, it seemed like this is a no-brainer. We can utilize that full $274,000 towards the electric vehicle purchases. So we applied and we were granted approval, but we did not get the approval until March of this year. again, another delay. So, here I am today, we're right now, we're sitting with at about $347,500 of approved grant money for the 8 vehicle purchases and the charging stations. I believe that we're qualified for some federal tax credits as well, but I don't know that 100%, so I don't want that to be part of your decision here. But because this is a reimbursement grant, I'm going to ask it in this way. I'm going to ask to increase the electric vehicle charging station infrastructure project utilizing county grant money up to $465,000. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
So Brent, you just said up to $465,000. What we have here says a total project cost of, so you're saying this could come in lower?
I anticipate it will come in lower. I'm hoping that it comes in lower, yes.
Because of these credits you're talking about?
It's just the overall cost of the project. I'm hoping it's going to come in lower. I'm sort of wording it that way because once I find out about the tax credits, I may be able to move some of the EECBG grant money around and utilize it so that we're maximizing the available funds.
So Brent, let me ask a couple of questions on this because, the national discussion on this has evolved, of course, as most do. And we've seen you referenced the decision by one of the automakers to discontinue the manufacture. And apparently there's some others that are kind of on the bubble with this. And, if we take possession, is there an obligation for them to support those vehicles? Then are we going to be left holding the bag? And we are seeing the federal government step back somewhat from that. We're seeing the marketplace definitely step back somewhat from this rollout, the projected rollout of the next generation.
Sure. So
give you pause on any of this.
There's a federal mandate now for the electric vehicle manufacturers that they must support the charging, the batteries for up to 8 years. There's the batteries and some of the charging components. So we will have that support for 8 years. Now, software and that type of upgrades, I really can't answer that. I know the Chevy was having troubles with their software on these Blazers that I'm proposing to get. They actually stopped manufacturing them for about 2 months earlier this year until they resolved that issue.
And are they still having, some of the manufacturers were having problems with the batteries? I think they're lithium batteries.
There's been some issues.
Yeah.
The vehicles that I'm looking to get at this point are the Chevy Blazers, electric Blazers. And they do have the new battery technology. And the Chevy Bolts that I had proposed getting, that they stopped manufacturing. It's my understanding that they stopped that manufacturing until they developed the newer batteries for the vehicles, and it'll be coming back out with them.
And so we're going to be completely dependent on our own charging equipment because it looks like a lot of the public charging equipment is not going to come out nearly as fast as what was anticipated. Does that present any problems for us?
With the vehicles that we're purchasing now, I think the answer is no, because most of these vehicles do not travel long distance. So yeah, they're local use. Now they will get an app, that the drivers can use to find where there's charging stations available if they go out long distance. We've been working with the WEX account on how we would pay for charging if we did go out, long distance, but we'll have plenty of charging capacity at Allen Road in 1601 for the vehicles we're purchasing.
I remember asking before, did we ever resolve the question of how these vehicles are eventually disposed of? Because with a conventional vehicle, we would trade it in and get some value for it potentially. And this seems to be a big question mark. Have we discovered anything more about what happens after our.
You know, I have not. I mean, I think when you asked the question the last time, you know, I had made the comment that right now with our gas model vehicles, we're getting rid of those about every 10 years because of the warranty on the batteries and such. I think we're probably going to be looking at a little bit quicker turnover with these vehicles, but disposal down the road, I don't know what that's going to look like 8 years from now.
So where are you going?
I don't think so. I think there'll be enough aftermarket batteries out there that that we would be able to sell the vehicle and someone would be able to purchase batteries if needed. That would be my guess.
Thanks.
I had a couple of questions about the charging stations. Are you putting in universal charging stations? Because this is an installation of charging stations, correct?
It is. We're proposing putting charging stations at 1601,
Okay.
where Elections is, and then over at Allen Road. That's the two locations these vehicles will be parked at.
Okay.
These charging stations will be secured now. They won't be available for charging of our vehicles.
Okay. And then I guess, so if I understand correctly, and I'm not an expert in electric vehicles, there is a universal charging station and there is a Tesla that is specific to a Tesla model charging.
Yes.
So ours will be more flexible and universal than that if we end up changing type of vehicles.
Yes.
Okay. And then the battery life, so what you answered one of my questions, your expectation is this will not extend the life of our vehicles because of, you're just estimating that these will not go 10 years like the gas vehicles, that we will most likely be replacing them in 8 years.
So the battery cost to replace them right now is about $150 per kilowatt of battery. The Chevy Blazers that we're getting have 85 kilowatt batteries. So currently, if you were to replace that batteries, you're what, $12,000 to replace those batteries. Now, the electric vehicle has about 80% less moving parts. So at the 8-year mark, we're going to have a decision of, do we want to spend the $12,000, put new batteries in these vehicles and keep on going with them, or do we sell and bring in?
And it's my understanding these batteries are now being recycled like every other normal battery. I mean, there's a recycling process to it. I don't know if that's been something that you turn up in your research.
I didn't really dig a whole lot into that, just because I know that it's going to change dramatically from now till the time comes.
Right, right. And I'm curious too, because some of the fleet vehicles that you're talking about that we've had 10 years, you wonder if that's a function of those going on longer trips, like those being taken and having more miles because of longer trips versus if these are shorter trips, will we, what type of life we'll get out of them. But
Sure.
I think that's all the question I had. I commend you for finding the additional, how much is it? $326,000 for the grant to help offset the cost of that. So while you're here asking for an increase, the actual cost to the county is the remaining, if I'm reading this correctly, is just $72,497, but that is has been reserved from the ARPA funding, if I'm reading that correctly.
The document changed, I think, after what you have there. I think it's in the $203,000 range. But the answer is yes, it was reserved.
It was reserved from ARPA and originally was expected to be
500.
but yeah. I'm sorry, yes, 300 plus from the ARPA. Okay. Great.
Your turn, Jean.
I'm good. I just,
Okay.
I was sitting here, CNN posted an article 5 hours ago, talking about how electric vehicle purchasing is up 20% this year already. And
It's
that's,
up.
yes. And how the right now, you know, all of those new people, all those people that were really interested in electric cars, right? They've bought theirs and now they're just in this chasm of getting to the regular consumer that would like a product that's less expensive. And so that's, you know, there's nothing in this particular article, not to say there aren't other articles out there that would say something else, but there's nothing in this particular article that would make me think that we're at the end of the electric vehicle age. So I'm interested in what happens in tech in the next 8 years with batteries.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch and see what does happen there.
I see we have some folks from finance. Our depreciation on vehicles is.
We get such good prices through CoStarz on vehicles that
It's, okay.
the 20% off the top, like we pay that when we purchase our vehicle. So
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Anyone like to make a motion for action?
I will move to approve the revised capital project request for facilities management for electrical vehicle and charging station installation with a maximum project cost of $465,000.
Well, second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up for a topic of discussion is possible motion and discussion to withhold collected hotel tax revenue from CAEDC until such time as required, as the required audit has been provided to us. This is a topic that I am bringing to the board. That audit was due to the county by March 31st. At this juncture, it is technically due 90 days from their year end. So at this point, we are 120 days outside of that parameter and 30 days delinquent in their report to us. I think it's in the county's best interest to withhold that funding until such time as the audit is submitted to us. Is there any other discussion?
If I'm remembering correctly, not having CAEDC's piece is holding up the county's financial pieces.
Absolutely. It's creating a delay in our audit, which is difficult for the controller's department to manage. And it is there are very few requirements of CAEDC under the hotel tax law, and this is one that is very clear in their actions, in their requirements.
Keith, the only question I have, because this is worded the way it is, I mean, CAEDC's the only eligible recipient of that money. Would it not automatically resume once the audit is received? This is saying there needs to be an action. But
no, it would not. There's a second part to that motion. And that is, once you receive it, you have to look at it. I don't know what's going to be coming to you and or the controller. So you have to see whether it is sufficient to meet the audit requirement, the financial statement obligation that they have. What I'm saying is pretty simple. I mean, you may get something on one piece of paper. I don't know if that's sufficient. You need to judge that. So that's why there's two steps.
Are there any other questions surrounding it? Gary, do you have anything else?
Not really. I know the question was asked. I did check with the controller's office. They said this is the first time it's been missed. So I know that's challenges this year. So I agree. We have to withhold. We should withhold. We have to set a standard, and it's a pretty serious issue. To the extent that they can control it, we should make sure that they understand it's not an acceptable practice.
Has that been your finding, that it has not been missed, was not missed last year?
So I'm relatively new, so I can't really speak to beyond 2 years, but I checked the previous 2 years and both of those times it had been received for the March 31st deadline.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. DeGrossa sent me a note saying it did. He's not aware of it ever being late before.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
I'm going to move to withhold collected hotel tax revenues from CAEDC until such time as the required annual audit report or financial statement is submitted to Cumberland County and action is taken by the Board of Commissioners to reinstate the distribution of hotel tax revenues.
This motion that's been moved. Is there a second?
I will second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Is there any other business to come before the board at this time? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We